Hey everyone, welcome back to another wonderful episode of Living and Loving with yours truly, country music artist, singer-songwriter, Monique McCall. So happy to be here today. And today I have a awesome, fantastic guest for you. Emmy-Award winning anchor of several programs airing on PBS stations, WNET and New Jersey PBS, as well as a variety of other platforms. His topics run the gamut from economy, finance, to food and wine, family, education. I mean, the true Renaissance man. He's an inspirational and motivational speaker and also an author of several books. My favorite, Speak from the Heart. So I'm looking forward to learning a little bit more about that today. And of course, his newest, The Lessons in Leadership, and the proud father raising 4 beautiful children. So please, I got 4. Please welcome today the one and only Mr. Steve Adubato. So nice to see you, Steve. Thanks so much for joining me here on Living and Loving.
Well, Monique, it's my honor, my pleasure. And let me get this, I don't want to say out of the way, but let me cover this right away. My good friend and colleague, TJ Nelligan, who has written the most compelling and powerful and important book that you featured, Live Like Sean, about his son, Sean, who is an inspiration to all of us. It is because of TJ and that connection, and that's one of the really terrific things about relationships. I'm obsessed with the science, the art, the craft, and the importance of relationships and how much they matter in our lives. And TJ brought us together because I had heard of you and watched some of your work, but he made this happen. So I'm very blessed and fortunate for that. So it's great to be with you.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate that. And it's such a blessing for me to have you here today because I know you've done so much like TJ. You know, you're living a lot from the heart. And that's what this program is about. It's all about living and loving through all of our many adventures, journeys, and what it is we're trying to achieve. And you've achieved so much. So I'd love to learn a little bit more from you about your programs. And I know you've covered so many topics. I know, that your father was a political broker in New Jersey. He did so much for Newark and the state of New Jersey. So I was just wondering, politically, is that kind of where your interest came from your father?
My dad, who passed away in the fall of 2020 after a long illness, long story short, he really was a leader in so many ways, led with an iron fist, if you will. And I wrote about him extensively in my last book, Lessons in Leadership. He built a community-based organization that served an urban, poor community in the city I was born and raised in, Newark, New Jersey. My sister, Michelle, is the CEO there now. They serve children and senior citizens and people living with autism and a whole range of people who frankly just need a helping hand. And he taught us that, and not so much just about politics. And I ran as a very young man at 24, I ran for the legislature, elected at 25, the youngest person elected in the legislature in New Jersey. And then at 27, the youngest person to lose his seat in the state legislature, which taught me a whole range of lessons, but mostly about humility, mostly about the need to get up, dust yourself off, and people have real challenges and problems. And we were talking about Live Like Sean before. The message, I didn't know Sean at the time, I didn't know TJ at the time, but the reality is I was feeling sorry for myself. I was supposed to be the next congressperson, the next senator, governor, and I'm 27 and I'm thinking, now what? And I basically decided to go on for my PhD at Rutgers University in the field of communication, study media, get involved in media, create a production company, get involved in leadership development, written several books. I'm blessed by Simon & Schuster signing my first book, Speak from the Heart. All these years later, I have a great career, but way more importantly, I have a terrific family with a great wife, 4 kids, 3 together with my wife now, Jennifer, and my oldest son, Stephen, who's 28. And I'm reading a book recently. It's over my shoulder. I think it's over this shoulder. It's called Refire, Don't Retire by the great Ken Blanchard, who's 82 years old.
Yes.
And his message there about refiring is remind yourself of why you do what you do. And being successful is one thing, having impact in others' lives is way more important. And that's what I try to live every day.
I absolutely agree. You know, I'm writing a new song right now. I'm almost done with it, but the words in it, which probably would resonate with you, are, you may not be where you want to be, but you're right where you're supposed to be. And
I believe.
And you believe, and that's
Monique.
it sounds like that is the message that you're portraying here in what you just shared. So thank you for that, because that is an affirmation for me that I'm on the right track as well with my song, because it is so true. We may not always be where we want to be, but we are right where we're supposed to be. So I know you're right where you're supposed to be right now, and I just wanted to know, like I said, your topics run the gamut from anything you can imagine. What is your favorite topic to discuss, or is it all of them you really enjoy?
It's so interesting. I'm interested in public policy and issues, and I care about how government makes decisions or doesn't about things that matter in our lives, whether it's immigration policy or protecting us as it relates to COVID and getting businesses back on track, and the role of government in doing that. Tax policy, but I'm way more interested, Monique, way more interested in people.
Yeah.
I've been doing this for 32 years, and I find myself never losing interest in people's stories. And it's very much why you do this show.
Yes.
You're interested in people. You're interested in their stories. You're interested in their successes, their failures, which to me, a failure is nothing more than you come up short. A real failure is where you come up short and you don't learn anything from it. That's real failure. If it's a loss and you learn, to me, you win. But the reality is, interviewing all kinds of different people about their lives and about their challenges and about what they've overcome to be who and what they are and the difference they make, that's not even close to boring to me. So my favorite subject is people.
I love that. And it's really all about the relationships. That's what we're here for. We're here to live and love, and we can't do that without each other. So with that said, I know that you have done so much wonderful and beautiful charitable work, along with being, working and helping TJ Nelligan with the Special Olympics, but you have also a charity called Stand and Deliver. I'd love to hear more about that.
Sure. By the way, I'm just realizing as we're taping today, tomorrow, I'm chairing a Special Olympics fundraiser here in New Jersey at one of the country clubs, a golf outing.
Thank you.
And well, but it's funny, TJ connected me with Special Olympics, and that's why I still have that connection. But Stand and Deliver, there's a for-profit Stand and Deliver company that does leadership development and coaching and helps put out all those books. And our website is stand-deliver.com. But I decided 20 years ago to create a not-for-profit version of it, because we make a good living. It's a great business, coaching, leadership development, seminars, great. But I thought, wait a minute, what about teaching communication skills and helping young people, particularly in inner cities, gain confidence to communicate and tell their stories? And actually today, as we tape at 4:00 later this afternoon, I'm doing a seminar with a group of young people in my hometown, my born and raised Brick City. That's what they call Newark Brick City, with 20 young people, teaching them media skills. Because Stand and Deliver is all about teaching inner city kids the need to be confident, clear communicators, get their message across. Our expression, our logo is be the change. Be the change you want to be. Don't wait for somebody else to be the change. You be the change. Be a leader. And to be a leader, you have to communicate your message. And that's what Stand and Deliver is all about.
Change is good. You go first. So.
Go first. I'm never a fan, Monique, of people saying, oh, if only they did. I'm sorry, who's they? Them. If only they did that. What are you going to do? And that's what Stand and Deliver, is all about, is teaching young people you have to be the leader. You have to speak up. You have to change your community. You have to deal with violence in the community. You have to step up if racial intolerance and injustice. You can complain about it. You can blame cops if you want. You can also get out there and do something and make a difference.
So I'm hearing an operative word in there, and the operative word is you. And that is always my main focus. And when I'm mentoring is that, you know what, it comes from you. It comes from within. Never look to the outside, because everything that you need is innately within you. And
I'm not a fan, and Monique, you don't strike me as this kind of person at all. I'm not a fan of victims. And here's what I mean by that. I believe I have empathy and compassion for people who are suffering, but I'll give you an example. Young man by the name of Eric LeGrand. You can look him up.
Yes.
Eric
LeGrand.
Eric is a great friend, played football at Rutgers University in his senior year, about to be 10 years ago, about to be recruited into the NFL. Horrible incident on the field. An injury happens against, he was playing against Army West Point, and he's paralyzed. And I've interviewed Eric several times, and I wrote about him in my book, Lessons in Leadership, under the chapter called Attitude is Everything. Mm-hmm. This is a guy who I talked to a couple months ago in an interview. He said, Steve, I focus on what I can do. Mm-hmm. I focus on, he's a broadcaster for Rutgers football. He's a spokesperson for the Christopher Reeve Foundation. He wrote a book. He opened up a coffee shop in the middle of COVID. He can't walk. He's in a wheelchair. He has trouble breathing. Eric LeGrand is not a victim. He focuses on what he can do. Mm-hmm. That doesn't mean people aren't suffering. It means real character is about choosing not to be a victim. And so when Eric can do that, I can complain about my allergies or my hamstring or my back is hurting when I'm playing golf, because nobody really cares, number one. Number two, you're not really a victim. I'm sorry, I get off my soapbox.
No, I know, I absolutely agree. And so it's coming to me again. It's the same song. I swear I wrote this song for you, and unknowingly. But there's another line in the song that says, "It's not what happens to you; it's how you react."
That's all it is. It's someone says, "Well, I got a really bad hand that God dealt them the hand." I always find that funny. My question is, how are you going to play the hand? Mm-hmm. Okay, it's not the best hand. How are you going to play it? You mean you got a bad hand? You're out? You're tapping out? Really? Play the hand.
You know what? It's always through my life. I've realized I've learned the most beautiful moments were, when I had the light at the end of the tunnel. Rocky roads, long hauls, lots of hurdles. But, like I've said before on Living and Loving and right here, that I'm always excited about those moments, because I'm like, I know there's something even better around the corner. And I think if you can come from that place and just know that he's always got your back and that there's always something better on the other side, I think that's where the success and the magic happens. So thanks for sharing that message, and thank you for everything that you're doing with Stand and Deliver, because it is so important. Perception is key, communication is key, and I also feel often, and I'm sure you're teaching this, and that it's better to understand than be understood.
Yeah. Someone once said, I'm a big fan. I teach a lot of public speaking and communication skills. And I always find, Monique, and I'm sure you understand this, because you're a great communicator, not only in your music, but in the work you're doing right now, that Maya Angelou once said, it's always interesting, people will perseverate over the words, like, what words do I use to make this speech? And I'll say, well, focus on what you're feeling. Focus on getting the message across. And Maya Angelou had this great line. She said, people may forget the exact words you used when you spoke to them, but they'll never forget how they felt when they heard them. That's right. And I'm thinking, wait a minute. Our job is, and one of my books is called Make the Connection, and that's it. How do you connect with other people or not? You could have the greatest information, the greatest stats, charts, PowerPoint. If you don't connect, particularly remotely, people aren't feeling it. I don't care how good your stuff is. Connect with them.
That's right. And connect, soul to soul. And not only that, I think in connecting, a lot of the connectivity comes from really listening. God gave us 2 ears and 1 mouth for a reason. And I'm sure that you align with that statement as well.
Absolutely.
So You're speaking so much from the heart. I love the title of the book. I know that I'm going to be ordering that after this podcast. I know we can get your books on Amazon. They're all over. People can check you out on steveadubato.org, and then also on your Facebook platform. Is that Steve Adubato PhD, and Twitter as well, Steve Adubato. So I hope everyone goes and does that, because you have so many great messages. You have so much to share. You've shared so much today. You've spoken from the heart. I know that you're on a time crunch. I'd love to know quickly about—
Only because we're broadcasting today. I'm changing out of these comfortable clothes, putting on an uncomfortable blue shirt with my tie that doesn't cause any problems with the camera, going up into a home studio that we built. Sure. And broadcasting all day.
And I'm looking forward to seeing that. But I know you have a new book, Lessons in Leadership. So if you can quickly tell a little bit about that, and maybe one, I don't know if you have multiple lessons in here, if it's numbered, or if there's one more significant than the other, but share that with me.
So Lessons in Leadership is a book I wrote a few years ago. And by the way, the new book coming out is a sequel simply called Lessons in Leadership in the Age of COVID and Beyond, which are a whole new set of leadership lessons. I'm going to tell you the one I learned the most. So here's the thing about leadership. It's not an exact science, meaning someone says, Steve, what are the 5 things I need to do to be a better leader? By the way, my son is at Nick. I'll be with you in a minute, I promise.
Hi, Nick.
Yeah, an 18-year-old in remote learning in his senior year of high school, about to graduate.
This is a lesson in leadership.
Listen, lessons in leadership should be called lessons in life and parenting. But yeah. Here's the thing I've learned. Being right is overrated. Now, what does that mean? I spent too much time trying to convince people, but I'm right about this. And I realized if you don't step back and try to understand other people's perception of what you think you're looking at and understand that they see it differently, being right and insisting you're right as a leader, it doesn't work.
It's so wrong.
It's like, I'm right. What that means, you must be wrong. No, how about, this is what I believe. I want to understand what you believe. And the truth is, empathy is the key. Stepping back and saying, in my mind, I'm thinking, Monique is so wrong about this. But what I need to do is go, Monique, help me understand why you see it that way. Do you know how hard that is?
It's hard.
We get into these arguments. I'm right, you're wrong. Okay, I like Trump, you like Biden. I'm right, you're wrong. Really? Are the lines that clear? We need to understand each other better, be more understanding of each other, including our differences and our disagreements. How dare we?
Well, my parents always taught me, you got to take a moment and be able to step back and try to, walk a day in someone else's shoes. And that's where the understanding will come from.
Parents did a good job.
Thank you so much. So, Steve, thank you for that lesson in leadership. And before I let you go, I do have one question for you that I ask all of my guests. As a country music artist, I always like to know, I know this is hard, but what is the one song that speaks to your heart and sums up the essence of your being?
This is going to sound like such a cliche. My wife and I fell in love to Luther Vandross, and there are so many Luther Vandross songs I love, and we love country music as well. But here's the cliche. I grew up in a certain neighborhood that was an Italian-American neighborhood, and Frank Sinatra was big in our neighborhood, let's just say. And it's My Way. That's the song.
My Way. I love that song. Can you sing a little bit of it?
No. How dare, Monique, I was told this was a podcast where I was talking. I'm not singing. I can't let you do it. You get TJ Nelligan to sing, then I'll sing.
I already have gotten TJ Nelligan to sing. No, I didn't ask him to sing. I started doing that, and people will just sing. I love it.
Well, sorry, I draw the line somewhere.
Well, I'm glad you're drawing the line. It's always good to draw the line as well. Another lesson in leadership. So thank you so much.
Meaning I know my limitations, Monique.
I know you do. Thank you so much for joining me. We didn't even get a chance to talk about the emotion that went into receiving an Emmy Award. So if you want to,
you mean that Emmy right behind me?
That Emmy, that beautiful Emmy sitting right there.
Oh, I have no idea how it got there.
quickly, what did that feel like? I mean, was that that was like your biggest achievement other than having a beautiful wife and children? I mean, was that the pinnacle of your career?
Yeah. Try this one. I hate when people do this, but I have 4 Emmys and 4 kids. And if I had to trade, I'd sell the Emmys in 2 seconds on eBay because it's a nice achievement and a nice little trophy, but the kids are my life.
Of course, family first, always.
That's right.
Thank you so much, Steve Adubato, for joining me today. Wow, I was so blessed to have you on, an Emmy Award-winning anchor of several programs. Check them out, steveadubato.org, Facebook, Twitter, so many beautiful messages to share. Well-renowned author, Lessons in Leadership, and now coming out with Lessons in Leadership through COVID. I'm looking forward to getting my hands on that book. Thank you for your lessons and your messages today. So, live like Steve Adubato, don't try to be right. Lead with heart, speak from the heart, have empathy, compassion, perception. Communication is key. It's not what happens to you. It's how you react. Remember that. Get out today. Live love. I'm Monique McCall, country music singer, songwriter. Thanks so much for joining me. You can see me here every Thursday at 4 p.m. on all my platforms. Take care. Love you all.
Good job, Monique.
Thanks so much, Steve. Bye. Good luck with your program today.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
You take me there, somewhere I've never been before, like a storybook fairy tale, about a girl who was rescued by her knight, who saved her from herself, put her before